What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash overview to do with you guys. This is the Artisan Cutlery Corsair. And as you can see here, we have a very interesting cleaver style blade shape, as is kinda, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It seems like Artisan Cutlery is trying to make that their thing. They have quite a few cleaver style blades. I did the orthodox, the budget version on this channel. For those of you who are not familiar with Artisan Cutlery, they manufacture knives out of China. They are like a lot of these newer Chinese companies doing knives nowadays. They have a premium line and then they have a budget line. And the budget line, generally, you'll see things like D2 and G10 with steel liners. Their premium line, you'll see things like S35VN, probably M390. In fact, yeah, I think I reviewed the Falcon in M390. You'll see carbon fiber and titanium bearings, things like that. So that's pretty cool. I've liked a lot of the stuff out of Artisan Cutlery, even if it is not always practical. Yeah, I've enjoyed their stuff. So this knife was provided to me directly by Artisan Cutlery, so I appreciate that. As always, I'll try not to let that affect my review. Let's go ahead and get some measurements here real quick. Overall length of this Corsair coming in at about 6.8 inches overall. If you are going to add the ring, which we'll talk about here in a sec, it's probably going to add another 3/4 of an inch, so you can call it, I guess you can call it about maybe 7 1/4. I'll kind of lay it under where it would be attached and measure it there. Is it about 7 1/4? Yeah, it's about 7 1/4 inches. Let's do the blade length on this guy. From tip to scale, you're looking at, you could call it, I suppose you could call it 3 inches, probably more like 2.8 inches. Actual cutting edge, you're looking at 2.5 inches, given that generous forward choil there. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1 coming in at, oh my gosh, 8.6 inches overall. Sorry. Up against the PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, if I can get it to deploy properly. Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Delica. Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. So you can see here we're really looking at more of a Spyderco Delica sized knife. How about weight on this guy? Let's go ahead and get the scale out here and turn it on real quick. Give you an example of the action here. This is a titanium frame lock running on bearings. Has a nice, not quite fall shutty, but definitely shake shutty blade, which is kind of a nice feeling considering how light it is, and it certainly has excellent action. The detent feels nicer than, I did the review on the orthodox, and I called that detent mushy. This one definitely has a click. I'll show you here. There's definitely a detent click, which is something I like to hear. And there certainly is a snap, and a definitive breakaway from the detent, which is what we've all kind of grown accustomed to expect from a knife like this. So that's good. Overall weight on this guy coming in under 3 ounces, 2.89 ounces. Let's weigh it again. 2.93 ounces. So you're looking at about 2.9 ounces on this guy, which is excellent. A lot of people will be happy with that. Let's go ahead and talk about materials here. What you have in this very aggressive cleaver style blade shape is S35VN. You can see right there. They do put China on there. That always bothers me. I know that they have to do it, but I've said this so many times. If it's going to be from China or Taiwan, but it's going to be made really, really well, that's great, because there are a lot of us like me that have recently sort of changed our opinions on whether or not we will buy a knife from China or Taiwan. I still don't like to see it on the blade. Can we just print it somewhere else? Maybe that's silly. I just don't like to see that on the blade. Not that big of a deal. Anyways, we're looking at a satin finished cleaver style S35VN blade. Really, really nice grind lines there. You can see everything is nice and symmetrical and just looks great. You've got a satin finish up here on the flats that have it's been finished horizontally. I don't think it's been hand done, but it definitely does look nice. You have contoured carbon fiber for the scales. The pivot has a nice pivot collar that's been anodized blue, and then it has the Artisan Cutlery logo as the front side pivot. There is a simple Torx head adjustment side for the rear, so don't worry, it's not a proprietary, need a special tool type pivot or anything like that. Got some divots here that are just decorative. I suppose they look nice. I would have honestly just preferred this all be smooth, but it's not that big of a deal. You've got some, let's see what size of Torx heads those are. Yeah, they're the little size. I don't like that little size, but that's okay. Not always the biggest deal in the whole world. And then coming down here, you have, actually, we'll talk about that in a sec. Turning the knife over, you have some standoffs there. You've got well, they're not the exact same standoffs. They're actually they're standoffs that allow for the attachment of this lanyard ring. Moving over to the non-show side, you have contoured titanium that's smooth. You have a nice, simple pocket clip. Looks likely to also be titanium. You have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. And then you have a simple Torx head adjustment side for the pivot. So that's nice. By the way, there is a countersunk steel liner underneath the carbon fiber. That's not always necessary. Carbon fiber is plenty strong by itself, but let me say, I do applaud them for doing that. I will always prefer some steel reinforcement. In this case, it's a countersunk steel liner or cartridge liner, whatever you want to call it. Not really a cartridge liner because it's all the way through the body. You have that recessed into the carbon fiber, and I just like that. I saw that and I was like, thank you for doing that. I mean, it doesn't add that much weight, and maybe it doesn't add a lot or any real durability or measurable durability, but it gives me this feeling of solidity. Instead of solid carbon fiber on one side, you have steel and carbon fiber, and not everybody's going to care, but they're achieving that. They're still achieving under 3 ounces with that build, and I get the feeling of having a more solid knife, so that's nice. I appreciate that. Not everybody's going to care, but I definitely do. So that's all great there. Nice materials. So it comes with this thing, and you can pull the screws off here and just attach this. This side just clips in, as far as I understand. Does it clip into this side? Okay, watch Metal Complex cut his finger open on camera because he's not paying attention. But anyways, it clips in there. And then this side attaches onto the screw. Can I get it to do this? Boy. Oh yeah, there we go. So it clips into place, and then this attaches to the screw. And as far as I can tell, it's a lanyard loop. I don't like that at all. That's bizarre. It's just an extra piece. It makes the entire handle of the knife longer, and I mean, it's already long. You can see here, we'll talk about this. It's already a long handle in comparison to the blade. So that just seems unnecessary. It seems like something that you're just going to lose. It seems like something that could detach and you could lose your lanyard, or if you're pulling the knife with the lanyard and for whatever reason the loop detaches, it probably won't, but if it did, you potentially could lose your knife. So I don't like that. I think they should have just left this handle like this and just closed the material around this hole and made a traditional lanyard hole, or shave this whole part off and make the knife handle smaller and do without it at all. I feel like maybe, I know some people still like lanyards, but it seems like something that's not quite as much of a trend anymore. It's not quite as much something that you see as often on knives. But I don't know. I don't attach lanyards to my knives, so if I can shave off some unnecessary handle to get rid of space that would otherwise be accommodating for a lanyard hole, then I'm for it. So I don't know why that's a thing. It's bizarre to me. I don't think it's needed. It is made out of titanium, and it will match the titanium side of the knife. This knife comes in multiple configurations with multiple colors. This is the plain one that comes in just a standard sort of matte finished titanium. This is the one that I would go after if it were me buying this knife. These knives run about $150, which I will say I think is very fair and very on point for a knife like this. S35VN with carbon fiber and titanium running on bearings, steel lock bar insert, nice action. That's a nice price. It really is. Artisan Cutlery does a great job as far as what they're providing for you in terms of material and fit and finish and the price they're asking. So I think that's very fair. Let's talk about the design of this knife. So you've got a, this is like a small cleaver, essentially is what it is. Now, I really, really like cleaver style blades. I know that, the ones that just come off at 90-degree angles, you kind of lose some utility there because you don't really have a point. This is, I don't want to call it a clip point cleaver. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's got more of a swoop at the end, which allows for a point. So you still have that. It's a very, very fine point, by the way. The starting stock thickness of this blade is probably about, it looks to be 125 thousandths, maybe a little bit less. The blade is very sharp. It does get very nice and thin behind the edge. Feels perfect. No imperfections or flaws there. But in terms of an EDC style cleaver, this is one that's a little bit more utilitarian. You do have some belly here, as opposed to one that's just a rectangle. And like I said, you do have that point. Now, because of the nature of a blade like this, you do have a fair amount sticking out. And because of their design choice with the handle, which, by the way, you can get your whole hand around. The benefit to having a larger handle is you can get, on a small knife like this, you can get your whole hand around standard position. You can definitely get your whole hand around it in the choked up position. This forward choil is very large, very accommodating, or very deep, I should say, without a lot of risk of running your finger up on the blade. But inevitably, with a cleaver style blade, you end up with a situation like this where a lot of it is just sticking up. Now, I've watched some other reviews and some people have complained about this. I don't think it's that bad in terms of the height. I mean, a PM2 and a Manix 2 have that same issue with height, and you can see there in terms of height at its tallest point. It's not a whole lot different from the PM2. In fact, the PM2 is definitely worse, and so is the Manix 2, and I regularly carry both of those. The problem is that this is pointy. It's sharp. This needs to be rounded down a little bit. You can see here it's not so bad, but these sharp points, when you're reaching into your pocket to grab this knife to pull out, you do run your fingers and hands into that point. So it's just, if it's going to be like this, I like the blade shape, I like the design, it's cool looking, it's intriguing, but those points need to be rounded down or shaved down or something. That's honestly my opinion on that. Now, I like this size, I do, but I always prefer just a little bit bigger knife. And when I saw the picture of this, I got really excited because I was like, oh man, I love that blade style. I love that it's, a flipper. I'm big into that. I like cleaver style blades. If you don't like cleaver style blades, then there's probably nothing I can say about this knife that's really going to attract you to it. But if you're like me and you like cleaver style blades, then maybe you were also attracted to this. Truthfully, I just want it to be a little bit, not bigger, I want it to be longer. I want to see roughly the same handle length, but I want the blade to be extended out a little bit further. And in the folded position, you're still looking at a situation where, you probably could get rid of this standoff here. The blade could be longer, and then you would have a handle maybe, or, you'd have a blade length that would match better with the handle length, increase the overall size of the knife to about 7.5, 7.75 inches. And at that size, it would make a lot more sense to me. Get rid of the loop thing, round that down a little bit, and just increase the length of the blade. And I think you'd have, a winner there for people who are looking for a cleaver style blade. S35VN, obviously that's a great choice for a steel. Your fit and finish in this guy is really, really good despite one little thing, and I can't imagine they're all like this because their premium line has been perfect as far as I've seen. It's just slightly off center, and I'm not the only person in the pass run group, reviewing this knife, taking a look at it. It's fully possible that somebody else tried to adjust it or just flipped it a bajillion times and it came off center a little bit. So I'm not going to say that that's Artisan's fault. It could be that that's, it came centered and it just came out of place. But as far as the lockup, You know, lockup looks great. Lockup is definitely solid. No blade play up, down, left, and right. That's what I expect. Detent feels great. Everything is great. No issues there whatsoever. Sorry, I was checking out front to see if the mail guy had come. And you know, fit and finish materials, how it's all put together, it's all great. It's just, you know, little tiny things that are gonna keep me from absolutely recommending this knife. I really would have been blown away if those little tiny changes had been made. $150. Here's the thing. You know, I want to make this clear. I think if you like the look of this knife, if you can overlook some of the things that I'm nitpicking, because they're nitpicks, then it's still $150 well spent. This is a cool knife, and it's different, and it's interesting, and the blade shape is utilitarian, absolutely. It's fun to play with, fun to flip. It certainly is fun to hand off to people and let them look at, because you don't see stuff like this all the time. This feels nice. I like this area back here for your thumb. It just kind of rests naturally. It doesn't need any additional jimping, though there is a little bit on one side. That's the steel liner underneath the titanium. Doesn't provide any meaningful traction, but it doesn't really need it because your finger doesn't really want to fall back here. It wants to fall up here. You could do a little bit of detail work, I suppose, if you wanted to, but this is a cool knife. It's just not, it's not quite where I want it to be for it to be recommendable. I will say this is another thing I really like about Artisan Cutlery. All their knives come in these tins, and then inside the tins you have a zipper pouch. So it's not just the zipper pouch you're getting a cool tin. Inside the zipper pouch you get your cleaning cloth and, of course, the salt pack and piece of paper there on the warranty. And then that little bubble wrap thing is to hold on to the ring. You know, those are my honest thoughts on this knife. It's neat. Just get rid of the gimmicks, you know, and elongate the blade and shave down this pointy part, and I think you're okay. As far as the pocket clip and where it carries just fine. I have no issues with, you know, how it sits in my pocket. About this much sticks out. It's a little much. It's not going to kill the knife for me or anything like that. You only have one choice for carry. That's going to be right hand, tip up only, no left-handed, and no tip down. That's okay for me. It's not going to be okay for everybody. But anyways, guys, that is going to be pretty much it for my thoughts on the Artisan Corsair. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So please check that stuff out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel because there is definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.